Let's get salty!
Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and we're continuing our series taking a look at what the most broken minion in Hearthstone history is. We've looked at 1, 2, and 3 drops, and today we're going to take a look at the most broken 4 drops in Hearthstone history. This will all come together after we take a look at every major mana cost and then compile it all and determine what the most broken minion of all time is. And of course, you guys are involved. Your comments help me out in figuring out if I'm right or wrong on these lists, as well as we'll have like a community vote going into the final episode. And well, let's take a look at what some of the most broken 4 drop minions are in the history of Hearthstone. So there are a lot of insane 4 drops, but honestly, we'll just end the video. It's Scab's Cutter Butter. It's busted, it's broken. My cat is, no, we'll forget about that. Anyways, let's start off at number 10 with the first most busted 4 drop being Dustbreaker. A priest dragon minion is a 4-mana 3/3. If you are holding another dragon, deal 3 damage to all minions, and this card was ridiculous for a very long time in priest, where there was dragon priest, combo priest, there was like dragon combo priest, control priest ran it when board clears weren't as plentiful back in the day. It's an insane tempo card. To get a full board clear plus a body was ridiculous, and back in the day you had Netherspite Historian, which had the class discover bonus, which could get you even more of these reliably. Just a ridiculous card. This card was nutty, although not quite as prevalent today. Its historical impact on the game just cannot be understated, and for me it's got to be number 10 on the list. At number 9 we have an old classic Murloc, neutral Murloc, old Murkai, 4-mana 2/4 Murloc with charge. Charge mechanic's pretty rare these days, and has +1 attack for every Murloc on the battlefield. That includes enemy Murlocs as well. Most of the old Murloc cards actually work this way. They changed a lot of them that would only be friendly Murlocs. Old Murkai dodged that the entire time, and he's just a great, either a finisher in like an anyfin paladin or just in any Murloc deck pretty much ever in Wild. It's just, you play old Murkai, it's a bunch of stats or a bunch of attack, and it can go face. It's not the sexiest card in the world, but it's a pretty flavorful one. And honestly, I love my old Murkai. He's just a staple in countless Murloc decks, and I think he deserves to be on the list. At number 8, we have a warrior pirate minion, a 4-mana 2/5 taunt sword eater. Battle Cry, you equip effectively a fiery war axe. This card is absurd. 4-mana 2/5 is almost premium, and not only do you get a pirate tag, you also get a war axe, which normally is cost at 3 mana. Just a staple in every pirate deck pretty much ever since it's been introduced. It's a staple in like mid-range, tempo, control. A million different type of decks run Sword Eater. It's just an absurd card. It's like, you compare this to the old Arathi Weaponsmith, which was not a bad card, and it baffles the mind how good this card has been. The power creep's pretty insane on it, but it's dodged the nerf hammer forever, and well, it doesn't really feel that bad to face, but if just play against this in arena, it's pretty soul crushing, and just, yeah, absolutely ridiculous pirate. One of the best pirates ever made, and I think it definitely belongs on the list. At number 7, we have a pretty recent addition to the list, Blade Master Samuro, 4-mana 1/6 Rush Frenzy, neutral, legendary. Basically, you know, you play this with Apotheosis, you got Reno, Jackson, and a clear. This card basically led to Apotheosis getting nerfed, and I still disagree with that one, but a lot of people were very happy to see that one go. But it's not just priests that could use it. You could use it with like a Nitro Boost Poison, you could use it with a Conviction, any hand buff. It's just a super solid card. I've seen it even with Druid with like Survival of the Fittest. It's just ridiculously good card. Clears the board, does really good stuff. It can heal you if you're playing a priest class, get lifesteal on it. It's just crazy. I even saw someone in Wild at one point play like a plague thing, Plague Bringer. I can't remember what it's called. The rogue card that gives your minion poisonous for a full board clear. There's a lot of different ways you can use this card, and he's just been incredibly powerful since his inception. At number 6, we have an original tri-class Highlander card, Kazakus. This is playable in Warlock, Mage, and Priest, and has been a staple in Highlander decks, basically, since it was introduced during Mean Streets of Gadgetzin, and still does to this day, despite everything The power of those potions are incredible. It can give you damage, it can give you draw, board presence, value with some random demons, it can resurrect stuff, it can polymorph, it can give you armor, and it rarely gives you what you want, but when you get it, it feels really good, and you can double up on it with Brands or a Zola or whatever, Raise Dead, whatever like that. It's just incredibly good Highlander card, has seen play, it's stood the test of time. It still sees play, well, if you could play Highlander decks in WoW these days, but outside of this expansion, it has stood the test of time, has been incredibly good card, and how can you not put this on the list? At number 5, we're gonna go with a card that no longer costs 4 mana, but for a long time it did and was the bane of a lot of people's existence, and that's Barnes. Barnes, the 4-mana 3/4 that summons a 1/1 copy of a minion from your deck, and well, you played this on 4 and Big Priest and you won the game because we get a giant minion. Then you bring it back, you bring it back, you bring it back, you bring it back. But you could also play this card in like Spell Hunter. Just play Barnes Yashiraj and guarantee you get a 4-mana 13, 14, and a bunch of stats because he summoned the 1/1 Yashiraj, which gets the other Yashiraj good board presence, and then you're off to the races. And yes, he was eventually nerfed to 5, and the reason he's not higher on this list is before he was nerfed, he was actually not as prevalent as people remember. Yeah, Big Priest was kind of dead. It wasn't doing so great, and not until like the mana cheat stuff came into the play did Big Priest really come back with like a palm reading. And while Spell Hunter was a good deck, but it was never a top tier deck. And while Barnes, absolute powerhouse, that's why he's on the top 5, but not quite at the level of the top 4. And well, at number 4, another Big Priest favorite and a ridiculously good card, Archmage Vargoth, 4-mana 2/6. At the end of your turn, you will cast a spell randomly that was cast earlier. So you played a Spellstone in Priest, you get another Spellstone. You summon this with Oaken Summons, you get another Oaken Summons proc, which is probably a 5/10 taunt these days. He's just really, really insanely good in the decks he's good in, particularly in Druid and Priest, but he's even seen play in like Quest Mage, where you play this in Time Warp, get another turn. I'm sure Mark has utilized this card in many combos. You can do Mind Blast shenanigans, you can do a ton of insane stuff with Archmage Vargoth. Just a ridiculous card that I always thought at some point would get nerfed to 5. It just made sense considering looking at Barnes, considering its interaction with Oaken Summons, but nope, Archmage Vargoth has stood the test of time at 4 mana, still sees a ton of relevant play, mainly because of Oaken Summons, mainly because of Big Priest implications, but absolute powerhouse, and well, he was a free card for most people, or a lot of people, so that's pretty cool that one of the most powerful cards ever was legitimately free to play. How about that? At number 3, we have a Warlock minion, Void Caller. 4-mana 3/4 demon, Death Rattle. Summon a random demon from your hand or place on the battlefield. It's weird. It's worded differently than most things these days, but yes, you play this, you get a Voidlord, you get a Mal'Ganis out of your hand, a Doomguard. This enabled, I don't know how many different Q-block strategies, Reno lock strategies, a million different ways of cheating out, you know, with Dark Pact or Plague of Flames or Broomstick or whatever, just to pop this, get a giant demon out, copy it, bring it back with Gul'dan. Just a ridiculously insane demon card. The only time it's fallen off is basically this expansion where you can't really play it. Turns out it's too slow in this meta, but overall Voidcaller has just been a staple in almost every Warlock deck for like forever. Outside of Dark Lair, outside of like a Mecha'thun strategy, and even Mecha'thun, some people ran Voidcaller, Voidlord as a defensive option. It's just so insane that you can cheat out 9-10 drops, and as the demons get better, more variety of demons come into the game. This card only gets better as long as it's not touched, and well, Voidcaller for me, absolutely ridiculous card, definitely warranted at number 3 on the list. And we're at the final 2, and I'm gonna admit I really struggled with the final 2. I don't know which one's better. I really don't. So I'm gonna go with my gut on this one. You guys can tell me how I'm wrong, like you love to do. And well, I'm gonna start off with number 2. Very recent addition to the list, the most recent addition to the list, Stealer of Souls. 4-mana 2/6 demon. Every card you draw, basically you can spend health instead of mana, and well, this card is so busted it literally got banned in Wild within a couple of weeks. It is causing serious troubles in Standard as I record this, and well, it's just an outright broken card because, well, it turns out when you can just spend an infinite amount of cards because you don't take damage, whether it's from an illusionist in Wild or the new quest line in Standard, you break the game. And yeah, Stealer of Souls enables Warlock to break the game, but To be fair, in standard, it's not the best deck ever in the game. It's just very good and very polarizing and very frustrating, and it's limited to Warlock, and that's the only reason why it's not number 1 on my list. And before we get to number 1 on my list, let's take a look at a bunch of honorable mentions. Honorable mentions being Spellbreaker, Kazakus Golem Shaper, Korkron Elite, Twilight Drake, Keen Sunfury, Zarella, Elven Minstrel, Necrame Apothecary, Flame Wreath Faceless, the 4-mana 7/7, Granite Forgeborn, Piloted Shredder, and Serenite Chain Gang, and there are a bunch more, but I can't go on forever. So let's take a look. What is the number 1 most busted 4-drop of all time? He doesn't cost 4 anymore. Only in Classic does he cost 4, and that is Leroy Jenkins. 4 mana, 6/2 charge minion, summon 2 1/1 whelps for your opponent. Turns out that much charge damage is pretty good for cheap. A couple of cards like Shadow Step, you can Faceless, Power Overwhelming it, you can do whatever with Leroy. Even at 5, he was a staple in like every aggro deck in Standard until he was eventually Hall of Famed. He still sees a ton of play in Wild and aggro decks, just a ridiculously busted, crazy good aggro card that a lot of people would love to see come back into the game. Extremely flavorful too. You gotta love his voice line. You gotta love pretty much everything about Leroy other than the fact that he killed you, and that kind of feels degenerate and bad. But yeah, Leroy, absolutely busted, an insane finisher for so many different classes over the years. I gotta give it the edge over Stealer of Souls for its historical impact and just the fact that it's been so good in so many classes. Imagine Leroy at 4. I guess you could play it in odd decks, but the even decks would be just like, let's go. So there you go. That's my list. Let me know in the comments below what you agree with, disagree with, what you think are the most busted 4-drops of all time. What did I miss? Should Whizbang have made the list? Is Scabs actually the most broken 4-drop of all time? Who knows? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.